All right. Tonight I asked Chairwoman Carter, I think maybe for the fourth or fifth time, maybe the sixth time, I've lost count, after the meeting. I went up to her because I didn't get the answers I was looking for during the meeting as to whether we were going to film the agenda setting meetings and make them available to the public either via the public access TV channel 36 or 35 or whatever it is. And I got no answer. Well, after the meeting I went up to her and I told her I really didn't appreciate the slapdown I got for having to ask it again. And then she was telling me that, well, she had intended to give me the answer that they needed to go out and ask all the different counties, towns, whether they want to have this filmed or not. And then they had to ask the TV stations whether they want to show it or not. And I'm like, what does that have to do with my question of whether you're going to film it or not? You know, just film it, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with it afterwards. And then I know in the meeting, John spoke about it, where you said to film it and just put it on the web, the Union County website. End of story. And they still don't have an answer for that. I've been to this podium a number of times before, and I've actually lost count. Maybe you're keeping count. I've asked that the agenda meetings be filmed and made available to the taxpayers of Union County, and we still have not gotten an answer to that. And I was wondering just what the holdup might be and who might you need to ask in order to have that decided. Am I not just talking to the board of people who makes this decision? And can we not have that just decided? I don't want to belabor that, but that is definitely a question that I would like to answer. I've asked it at least 4 or 5 times.
The program is being facilitated and actually televised. And Mr. Bittner, as I had spoken to you the last time you were up here, that we were researching that. And to come to find out in reference to our agenda sessions not being, we don't control the cable stations that provide the public access for the communities. We try to get our meetings on their stations. We provided when it was first done and they started taping. We went out to all of the municipalities and they told us they did not want to have 2 of the meetings. So it had been decided at that point that we would only go ahead and provide them with this meeting, the actual voting meeting, and that's what they had decided on. What we are doing now, because that was several years ago, we have reached back out and we're waiting for that information to come back to make sure that that is still the case in point. But please understand, and just like I told you before, it's not that because you come up here and you keep asking and asking, it's not a decision that was, you know what, made in the blind. This is something that, you know, we are getting you the answer, and just like I stated the last time, I spoke to the county manager and we were getting you your information. So please don't make it seem as if, you know what, you asked for a year and didn't get an answer, okay? Like I stated before, we were researching it, and now we are also going to look forward to seeing whether or not the municipalities are still holding that. We don't control what they put on their cable stations.
As taping agenda meetings, you can tape them. They last about 10 minutes. The business portion, I've taped them in the past, 10, 20 minutes. You can have them taped. It would become a public record. Citizens can Oprah them. You could also upload it to your $136,000 website extremely easy. The Union County Watchdog Association uploads recordings of these meetings. It's so simple to use YouTube. So it's not just a matter of giving it to cable stations. You can publicize that yourself on your website or just make it available for the public to ask for.
Wait, you mentioned that it's the agenda meetings where you ask questions. It's hard to tell whether anybody questioned the $68,000 for the whatever, the organ gets it up to $266,000 because, for one thing, is they're not televised. And I think it's a cop-out to send, whatever you did, send a questionnaire asking if they want it. Of course they don't want it. They don't even want to televise these things. They want whatever. I mean, if they have to, they'll do it if it's a public service. But I think if you do ask a lot of questions at agenda meetings, I think it's probably a good thing for you to have a record of it, more than the minutes, have a physical record of it. And if it's not going to cost a lot more, if you have the equipment, you can put it on the website. I think it makes sense without asking a bunch of municipalities whether they'll air it or not. I mean, if anybody's even going to respond to you, probably not going to air it.
Also, I mentioned that it's not a matter of distributing the film. Once they film it, then it's a public record, and citizens can Oprah it and purchase a CD of it and view it, or we could put it up on the website. Personally, I don't want to go to agenda meetings. I don't feel it's worth my time to drive to Elizabeth. They last about 10-20 minutes. I actually recorded one that lasted 6 minutes. I'm talking the business end of it, not the nonsense that they talk about, but when they actually run through the agenda items and they're supposed to be talking business. It's nonsense. It's not worth my time to go. So I would like for someone to tape it and, just be able to review it. I mean, I could find 6 minutes during the week to review it and to prepare for the regular meeting, but it's not worth my time to go there. But they could certainly, they have a $500,000 public information department. Those employees, many of them, the head of the department is just sitting there during the meeting, tweeting whoever, whatever, on his Facebook, whatever the hell he's doing. But he could certainly be pushing a button to tape the meeting. It's absolutely no effort at all. It costs nothing. The employees are there. Just stand do it. I personally think they don't want people to see their agenda meetings because they are embarrassing. They are embarrassing. When I talk to a council person, I say, you would not believe what their agenda meetings are like. They can't believe it because, I know the Cranford Council could be at meetings till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes, hashing things out during their agenda meetings. Not so with the freeholders. It's so obvious their business is being conducted behind closed doors. It's not happening at a public meeting. And if they want to ascertain that, no, that's not true, then they are voting on things that they are absolutely ignorant about. They have no idea what they're voting on because they're not discussing it in public, where by law they're supposed to be doing it. And they could tape the stupid meetings, they could put it up on their $136,000 website, just like we do. You're watching this on our website, private citizens. They could do the same thing. Her answer to Jim was ignorant, and she should be embarrassed by it.
Yeah, let me just add what Tina's saying, and occasionally I do take exception to say, but as a resident, I'm actually the only one that really goes to these agenda setting meetings. Paul Payton of the Westfield Leader also attends, and of course there's the whole host of county directors and managers that are there. But the meetings, although she said they last like 6 minutes to 10 minutes, they actually do go about a half hour, which isn't that much longer. And
in totality, not when they're actually discussing stuff.
No, and let me just tell you about the agenda setting meetings. And this is something also for the Republican freeholders, because they always campaign saying that the freeholders never ask questions. That's only because the Republican candidates that run for freeholder never go to these agenda setting meetings. But they do put together an agenda for the regular meetings that we normally tape. In these agenda setting meetings, there are all these potential rezos that they want to talk about, and they do talk about a lot of tepid ones. Any of the big dollar amounts they never talk about, but they do talk about tepid ones, and there's maybe about anywhere from 10 to 15 potential resolutions that they do talk about, and they do ask questions. I mean, like I said, I've been going to these agenda setting meetings for 12 years maybe, and actually that's how I learn a lot, because they do ask questions, and even though it may be minutia and minor tepid stuff, but I mean, like, I actually do pick up some information. So I mean, there is something to be said about taping these meetings, and I feel it probably is just as important as the regular freeholder meetings,
You should do it
because at the freeholder meetings they don't even ask questions. It's the public that speaks, and we appreciate them, probably by law, publishing or televising the public comments. But at these other ones, they actually do the talking and the questioning to the managers and directors that come before them that want to spend a lot of money. So it is worthwhile to tape.
Oh,
I agree it's worthwhile to tape, but I disagree with the quality of what you're learning there.
well, yes,
In my
you're not going to
experience-
get the whole story regardless.
Oh, yeah,
All
yeah,
right?
right.
No,
experience.
no,
That is true.
and it's completely scripted. the questioning. It's like ridiculous. They know the answer. They're just going to, they ask the question.
The softball
the softball
questions,
question.
to kill time, and
So
they
the
have to
directors
kill
can get up
time.
there and give them the answer that they already know. But wait a minute.
No, let me just
But
give
so
you
it's
what-
not a frivolous thing that we
Come over here for
should
this.
not have access to these meetings, all right? Via videotape, because when they want to hide something, when Charlotte finally came down from the mountain and made a presentation, it wasn't at a regular meeting. It was at an agenda-setting meeting.
correct.
So that none of the public would see it, and we're going to be able to ask her questions. All right? And I believe they did the same thing with Romanko once.
Yeah, they
with
do
one
have a
of
couple
the-
of presentations. You're right.
Yeah. And
They
then-
changed their format.
And the public cannot ask questions.
No.
So I think it's another way of circumventing the transparency in our government.
They can
It's
easily
intentional.
tape. It's-
They
it
can
is
easily tape it,
intentional. They
and there's
can
no
easily
reason
tape it.
why it shouldn't be made available.
And
Yeah,
the
let me just-
citizens, private citizens shouldn't have to go to the trouble. We're paying $500,000 in nonsense public information department salaries. There's no reason why I should give up another evening of my life to go and videotape them because they don't want you to see it. They do not want you to see it. They're not proud of it. If they were proud of it, they would do it. They'd put it up on their website, or they would just tape it. Hit the button on the stupid camera and just tape it. I've taped agenda meetings. I sit there. I don't even like focus. I don't do anything. I just run it. You've seen the quality of my work. But just record it. Make a public record of it. If they were proud of what they were doing, they would do that. But they're not. They don't want the public to see it.
Let me just take. Yeah, I'll just take 5 more seconds about the agenda setting meeting. The question, they do ask questions, but the most common question that they ask is this the same cost this year as it was last year? That's basically the commonality of all the questions. You know, as to the dollar amount in this resolution, is it the same amount as last year? And a lot of times it's like a little bit higher. It's about the same, a little bit higher, a little, whatever. That's what you get as the answer. So that's basically the question that they ask.